Have you ever vouched for someone only to have them fall well short of the mark? How'd that make you feel? Disappointed? Embarrassed? How likely would you be to recommend that person again? And worse yet, how would your recommendation be received in the future? That's the kind of problem that can occur when you don't have buy in from your internal stakeholders and your own organization when you kick off a partnership with another company. You might make promises on behalf of your company to a partner only to be let down and embarrassed. How can we avoid those situations? That's what we're covering in today's episode of Partnership Unpacked. This is Partnership Unpacked, your go-to guide to growing your business through partnerships quickly. I'm your host, Mike Alton, and each episode unpacks the winning strategies and latest trends from influencer marketing to brand partnerships and ideas that you can apply to your own business to grow exponentially. And now, the rest of today's episode. Welcome back to Partnership Unpacked, where I selfishly use this time to pick the brains of experts at strategic partnerships, channel programs, affiliates, influencer marketing, relationship building. Oh, and you get to learn too. Subscribe to learn how you can amplify your growth strategy with a solid takeaway every episode from partnership experts in the industry. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I'm in the midst of implementing a brand new partnership motion at Agorapulse called Nearbound. I'm working with our sales and revenue teams, operations, marketing, and customer success to be able to leverage our partners' client relationships to increase our own sales and retention. I wrote an article about how I got buy-in for this initiative because it was about more than just the investment in new technology. It's also my time, of course, but I also needed to get all those other departments I mentioned aligned with the project, because these kinds of partnerships cannot work if a bunch of the people involved don't see your vision and are investing in making it a success. So where do we start? Well, that's exactly what Daniela Garcia is going to talk to us about. Daniela has just joined Triple Ten as head of North American partnerships and has spent years fostering partnerships and relationships in industries from cosmetics to B2B MarTech. She's been featured by some of the top partnership publications and productions in the industry, and she absolutely embodies value-driven metrics and partner-led growth. Hey, Daniela, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mike, thanks so much for having me on. And what an intro. Wow, I sound so impressive.
You are impressive. I couldn't wait to get you on the show. And so I'd love to just kind of level set everyone. Let them know how you got started in partnerships and more about the work that you're doing today at Triple Ten.
Yeah, so I got really lucky. I started working for a cosmetics company that was like small internally, but big externally. So it was a company called La Tweeze, and it was like an illuminated tweezer, which for some people might be like, okay. But for the buyers at Nordstrom and Neiman Marcus and Kroger, it was super hot. And I got super lucky in that we weren't massive internally. So as like a global account executive, I got to wear a lot of hats and even got to explore some private label relationships with like Disney and Sephora. And then suddenly 2020 happened and the world stopped and the world of cosmetics really stopped. And I had to pivot. And I was lucky enough that the team at Lead Forensics could see that like my skill set was really transferable and that my enthusiasm to learn about the industry, was there and prevalent. And so I was able to start with them. And just, the last 3.5 years, got to work with agency partners and got to expand, that channel, that whole program. And now just this month started, as you said, head of North American partnerships at Triple Ten, which is a digital boot camp. And so I've gone from cosmetics to MarTech to now higher learning. And I could not be more excited and just grateful that I do have these transferable skills and people believe in me.
Okay, we're going to have to come back to the whole glow-in-the-dark tweezer thing another time. That's just fascinating. And I didn't know, but it makes sense how the cosmetic industry was impacted by COVID. But tell me real quick more about Triple Ten. What is a digital boot camp? What does that mean?
So essentially, it's like part-time programs that at the end of it, our students are given all of the skills and certifications that they need to start a career in the technology industry, whether it's as like a QA engineer, a BI analyst, a software engineer, wanting to become a full stack engineer. We have those programs and they're really designed to fit into a full-time lifestyle. So if you're a full-time mom, if you're a full-time employee, if you're both, you can still fit in these courses, and that's kind of how it's built. And then we guarantee job placement at the end of it. So with in 6 months of completing your course, you have not been placed, you get your entire tuition back.
Brilliant. And what kind of partnerships do you work on there?
So it's a totally new program. So we're working on partnerships with nonprofit organizations right now, really trying to like work with communities that, are working on supporting minorities to get involved into tech, supporting the LGBTQ community to get into tech. One of our most prevalent partners is like Women Who Code. So we're offering members of these communities partial scholarships to our program. And then we're also working with like benefits coordinators and HR coordinators to provide our programs as like an employee benefit, for employees of a place like drive-throughs or, what we consider like an entry-level position. And then you're kind of like, okay, this is my stepping stone into the rest of my career. We offer that as like a benefit for those employees to be able to, pivot and then even get a job back with that exact same company. If you work drive-through for McDonald's and now you're a software engineer, that head nod is everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. We will, of course, have a link to Triple 10 in the show notes to some of those fantastic programs. So you're starting a whole new program,
Yep.
and we want to talk about internal buy-in. And so I want to start by just asking, what do we really mean? What does that mean to you when I say internal buy-in, or when you're talking to your own internal stakeholders and you want that buy-in? What does that mean to you? Why is that important? And what are the risks if we don't get it?
Yeah, what it means to me is that the entire team recognizes the importance of partners in achieving all of their goals as well. So a lot of companies will see a partner channel as like its own department and give it its own, targets and its own metrics. But in reality, it should exist within every department and every metric. So it shouldn't be a matter of how much partner-led growth or like partner-led sales are we going to have. It's how much of like marketing's targets are going to be partner led. How much of outbound sales targets are going to be partner led? How much of inbound is going to be partner led? I think that's a much more mature approach to partnerships, and it creates more just like collaboration and community internally. So it really means everyone identifying the partner program as a means to their own growth as well. And the risk of not having that is you falling short for partners. If marketing doesn't see that supporting partnerships supports their growth, then they're not going to, be as present when you need assets, when you need marketing support, when you need a little bit of budget, when you need a campaign. And the same thing goes for, customer success. If customer success does not see how partner-led growth helps them with retention, they're not going to take those clients as seriously as they should. And they're not going to approach them with the same level of care and like white glove experience as they should. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I love the shift in mindset from having partnerships be its own kind of standalone motion, play, initiative, whatever you want to call it, versus something that's layered on top of or below or with or alongside every other department in the organization. And I'll be the first to admit, Agorapulse, I'm the only one here running partnerships, and we're a long way from being what I would refer to as a mature partnership department, but we've certainly come a long way. A few years ago, I was definitely doing my own thing. I wasn't integrated into other departments. And the other risk that exposed was that what I was working on wasn't aligned with what every other department was working on. Most of all, marketing. I was doing my own events. I was doing my own initiatives. And we weren't talking about content calendars. We weren't talking about themes. We weren't talking about targeted audiences. So yeah, having that partnership play integrated in the entire organization is going to lay all those risks. And when it comes to emotion, like partnerships, how do you go about even identifying who those internal stakeholders should be?
Talk to everyone. I don't think that there's anyone in your organization that you should not be treating and speaking to and collaborating with like they're a stakeholder. At the end of the day, every single member of your organization can support your partners in some way and can be supported by your partners in some way. So I think it's just having an open mind and treating the janitor the same way you treat the CEO.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, a moment ago, you talked about how it would be important to look at what you're measuring, the goals in partnerships, rather than a certain percentage of partner-led leads or growth, but rather how is that impacting each department's goals? How do we go about identifying some of these internal KPIs, and how do we make that work between our partnership department and these other departments?
We're always going to be lucky in that like key KPIs are going to be well known, and just like when you're having general, like all hands, like if you're a partner manager, if you're in partnerships, like you should be at every all hands meeting and keeping your ear to the ground, maintaining those relationships with department heads. And, when people are doing their reviews at the beginning and end of each quarter of what were the metrics that were important to them, what are they bragging about, what are their goals for the next quarter? These are all things to keep in mind and take note of. And when you're taking those notes, attach a partner to that KPI, like attach. So let me give you like a better example. So at Triple 10, we have an ambassador program, and a big initiative for, the department head for that is getting ambassadors to do more talks, and to have more opportunities, at events, webinars, podcasts, things like that. Well, that's a huge benefit to our partners. Our community leaders who do have, these podcasts that do host like webinars, who do host like events regularly, it is a benefit to them to have a network of ambassadors, in the tech industry that do want to be like sharing their story and sharing their experience. So what was a hurdle for this department head is now a benefit to my partners. And so that's kind of the way that a partner manager really needs to be thinking. And it's the most creative role in any organization, because you really do need to make 1 + 2 = 5.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And I love your point about paying attention in meetings, whether they're company-wide meetings, all hands, department meetings. Listen to what the other leaders in your organization are planning on doing, what they're working on, what's important to them. And always be thinking in the back of your mind, how can I help that? Who can I line up? What partner, what influencer, what ambassador could we potentially bring in? Whether it's a marketing play, it's a sales play, it's a customer retention play, right? Somebody's struggling with email marketing. We're a social media marketing company, but I know plenty of email marketers that I could connect with them and help them. We could get them into a webinar, something like that. That's fantastic advice. Thank you for sharing that. Now, as we're talking about metrics, one of the key metrics that you may be missing on is how successful your social channels are doing for your business. Here to help us with that is Daryl Prale, CMO here at Agora.
It's the Arc de Triomphe. Can you imagine if you're in charge, if you're the CMO of Marketing Paris? What are your main channels? Wow, there's the Arc de Triomphe, there's the Eiffel Tower, there's the Louvre. Those are your channels you're going to use to drive tourism dollars in. Okay, now, but you're not the CMO of Paris. In fact, you're the CMO of your company, product, service. So what are your main channels? So I'm going to guess there are things like pay-per-click, maybe trade shows, events, maybe content. Those are all pretty predictable, right? Let me ask you this question. Are you treating social media as a main channel? By the way, only 1.8% of you today measure social media and can prove an ROI in that investment. HubSpot and Gartner say social media is the #1 channel to invest in this year. Are you doing it? If not, I can tell you why. You're not doing it because you don't have the tools, you don't have the mentality, and that's okay. We've got you covered. You change the mentality, we'll give you the tool. Pulse tracks all the ROI for you. One place to manage all your social media activity, your #1 channel, change your success. Treat social media as a channel, one CMO to another. My name is Daryl. I'm with Agora Pulse. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Danielle. At the beginning, I said I like to pick the brains of my experts, and that wasn't hyperbole. I'm serious, because here's an example. There's this concept that I'm studying right now called role pairing, where you match up internal stakeholders with their counterparts with your partners, such as SDRs with SDRs, so that they too can form stronger relationships and strengthen the partnership. I haven't yet actually implemented role pairing. Have you? Have you seen any success with it?
Not as much as what, like down to like the sales team, but definitely, marketing meets marketing all the time. And that's like really important that they do. And I definitely find that they they just kind of tend to like geek out together. And it does support getting that internal buy-in, because now, you have these two creative minds working together towards the same goal, sharing ideas. And I really love the idea of like connecting like sales heads and like everyone else. I've only ever done it with marketing just because, you need them to work together to create campaigns. But definitely I can see how it can support a partnership, strengthen it, make it more real from members of like different teams too. Because now you're sharing, best practices, you're sharing word tracks, especially on the sales side of things. If two SDRs are talking and they're sharing each other's like outreach methods, both are getting stronger and better. But 100% from a marketing perspective, the teams are always so excited to work together. They always geek out a little bit. They're always sharing tools. And, you start seeing referral links go back and forth. And that's how you know you've got that buy-in that you really need.
I love it. I love it. I have to admit, I've never done that, at least not consistently, even on the marketing side. And I think, to be transparent and frank, I think I've probably been too controlling over the relationship between our organization and the partner. And I've kind of insisted on being that single point of contact. And what you're suggesting is, first of all, I need to loosen up. And second of all, if I'm able to broaden out and bring in those corresponding marketing partners and team members or sales team members or even customer success team members, they're going to develop their own relationships, and a lot of rapport and productivity is going to happen as a result of that.
Absolutely, 100%. And on top of it, you're also going to have, I don't know, there's always a difference between a one-on-one friendship and a friend group. So as the partner manager, you need to be the glue of the group. But at the end of the day, there's going to be a funny guy. There's going to be a planner. There's going to be, that person who's going to cause a little drama. The friend group dynamic always creates for better memories, better collaborations, and just better results. The more the merrier, always, in any situation, including partnerships.
Love it. Love it. Now, for someone who might be new to an organization like yourself, or perhaps they're launching a brand new partnership program, what advice would you give them?
Meet with everyone. Meet with everyone. Meet with your internal buyers. Meet with some end users of your tool, service, program, whatever it is that you guys are offering. Try to find within your ecosystem, because odds are you already have partners you don't know about. Odds are there is someone out there talking about your company, being an advocate, referring business to you. Talk to those businesses. On top of talk to everybody, I'm even going to give 2 pieces of advice. Also, when you're talking to them, ask them what other things they're doing alongside. What else is complementing your offering? Because those are your hidden partners too. One big thing, and I'm kind of giving away a little bit here, that I noticed when I was doing this internally was that 43% of our recent graduates had done some kind of ride share side hustle during the program. Well, now that's just totally perked my mindset to be well, I really should explore a partnership with a ride sharing company, because our end users are already pairing us. Whether we like it or not, they're already putting us together. And so for a lot of, in the MarTech space, this was a move where it was, more and more of our users, at Lead Forensics are using HubSpot. So when we found that more of our retaining clients were using HubSpot, it became very obvious that we needed to put all hands on deck on a HubSpot integration. So when you're talking to clients, when you're talking to end users, when you're talking to internal, just your team internally, you're going to get a better idea of what your ecosystem looks like. You're going to get a better idea of what is going to be complementary to your offering, especially when you're newer and you might not, very surface level, what marketing has put out there about the company. Now it's time for you to know, what an actual user experience is like.
Love it. I'm actually furiously taking notes because those are fantastic ideas. Talking to everybody, and specifically the nugget that I took out of there was that as a SaaS company, I need to be exploring with our own customer base what other tools they're using to expose potential partnerships, whether they're integrations or marketing partnerships or co-selling motions, whatever the case might be. That's not something we've done. I don't want to say we haven't done it at all, but we haven't done it with that intention in mind, right? We've certainly talked to our users. We've explored with them what challenges they're having. And of course, some of their other solutions have come up in those conversations, but to actually go into it with the intention of discovering what other tools are you already working with, or what companies? If I'm going to broaden it, right, for all of you listening, maybe you're not a SaaS company, maybe you're an agency, or maybe you're providing a service of some kind. If you're talking to your customers and exploring with them, what other solutions are they already using that might be complementary to you? Those are great potential partners, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, and then you can even approach that partner with, hey, a certain percentage of our clients use you too. I wonder what percentage of your clients are using us.
Yeah. And then you get them into Reveal and you start to look at some of that account mapping and the overlapping, right? Fantastic.
Absolutely.
We've talked about Reveal a lot on this show. We're huge fans. So, Daniela, this is so cool. How does everything that we've already discussed so far, lining up our organization, our internal stakeholders, lining up our KPIs, how does all that actually benefit our partners?
Well, honestly, because it gives you an idea of what kinds of benefits you can offer a partner. When you have the internal buy in of success, when you have the internal buy in of marketing, when you have the internal buy in of sales, what you start to find is actual benefits to provide partners. So, like I had mentioned about that ambassador program. That was a big benefit to our partners because now our partners have, again, like this network of industry leaders that they can turn to and use for their events. In a customer success side of things, it's beneficial to know, how important retention is when you're talking about, from an agency partnership standpoint of wanting partners or wanting clients to be stickier and longer term. And not necessarily wanting to work month to month, but wanting to work year by year. These are different benefits that can support a partnership if you align it correctly and you really try to benefit everyone. It's a game of compromising. Like when you're in the role of partnership, it's how do I make everybody a winner? And then in the end, I'll be the winner because everyone else is winning. So the more of those KPIs that you can transform into benefits, the stronger it is for your partners.
Absolutely makes sense. I love it. I can recall in the past me going to specific partners with ideas for how we could co-market together. And then let's just say a specific kind of marketing motion comes out of that plan. Then I go back to my marketing team saying, hey, we need to do this because we're doing this with the partner. And I didn't get their buy-in first. So now I'm telling them how they need to do a certain marketing thing, whether it's send an email or create a blog post or something like that. And now I'm facing friction internally. Whereas if, to your point, I would have gone to the internal team first, it might have surfaced, or they might have just come out and said, hey, yeah, Mike, you know what? We need help with an ebook that we're working on. It'd be great to have a partner brand work on this ebook with us. And then I can go back to the partners and bring them alongside, and everybody's already excited about that. So
Absolutely.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I was going to
No,
say
no,
one of
please
those
go ahead.
ways to start that conversation is you have a meeting with a team member internally. And two questions to ask are, when you first heard that they were going to be starting a partner program, what were you hoping that partner program could help you with? And then second is, what's a wish list that you have of partners? Who are some businesses you want to work with? Once you start the conversations that way, those conversations always end with that team member so excited that you're starting, excited that you're there. And yeah, they'll start telling you how they can help.
Love this. Again, I'm taking notes. This has been fantastic and eye-opening for me. So I know my listeners are going to appreciate all of your intel. Danielle, I've just got one more question, and it's my favorite question. I ask this of every single guest, and I can't wait to hear how you answer. How important have relationships been to your career?
Wow. Tremendously important. I'm in the business of relationships. That is what this role is. So they've been super impactful. I don't think I'd be the head of North American partnerships right now if it wasn't for the relationships that I've cultivated, if it wasn't for the way that I am able to cultivate those relationships too, just having that skill set alone of knowing how to nurture a relationship. I just don't think that there'd be any way that I'd be in this industry without it. And I think if you are a partner manager out there who doesn't value relationships, A, I'm really curious to know how you're doing your job. And B, what? So yeah, I think they're fundamental to my career, 100%.
Awesome. Awesome. And that, of course, is why I asked the question, because you are 100% correct. Relationships are critical. They're foundational to any good partnership. And I also, honestly, I love this question because it could be answered with one word, but by asking how important something is to ourselves, we're naturally drawn to think about, why is that? Right. And so I'm asking you, when you're sharing, why that's important to you. And I'm also hopefully prompting all of you who are listening to be thinking about why relationships are important to you and how you can continue to foster and grow the relationships you already have to further your career. So thank you, Danielle, for helping us all again refocus and think about that. This has been fantastic, and I know folks are going to have more questions for you, particularly on this internal buy-in thing, because they want to know how to get their CEO to buy into their next proposal. Where can they reach out to you? How can they learn more about you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, Daniela Garcia. If you're wondering if I'm the Daniela Garcia, it's the one with all of the TikTok videos in her profile. You can also feel free to email me at daniela.garcia@triple10.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram at partnerwithdanny, DANI.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniela. And thank you, everybody else, for listening. We will have all of Daniela's links in the show notes. Definitely go follow her and connect with her on LinkedIn and watch some of those videos. She's fantastic. Until next time, see ya.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Partnership Unpacked, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player. Be sure to leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us. And if you want to be part of our audience during live broadcasts, take a look at our calendar at agorapulse.com/calendar. Until next time.